Welcome to the Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel once a week, it chooses the movie, and they discuss it. Today we're talking about the 1979 film Phantasm, which was directed by Don Coscarelli. I'm Alec.
I'm Erik.
And this is a strange movie.
Yeah, get out of here, Stranger Things. This is as strange as it gets.
This is like a fever dream of a movie.
yeah, it's trippy. It's just straight up trippy. It was fun.
Yeah.
You know?
You watched this movie like 2 weeks ago, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not fresh off the top. You just watched it like an hour ago, right?
Yeah, I literally just finished it. But yeah, do you remember most of it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, dude, the ending is just like kind of a blur, but...
Yeah, I mean, I think even me just watching it, the ending is still kind of a blur. I'm like, what
yeah, no, for real. It really, like, it's like, hey, it's like watching poker. It's like the movie starts off, it's like, all right, hit me. And it's like doubling down like every like other scene. It's okay, this movie's off the rails at like the third act.
Well, it's weird because yeah, it just starts off and you've just got this like pretty weird sex scene and just one boob. And you're like, okay, there's like she's
left
like
or right, I couldn't tell. But
she's like, you can only see this one sort of thing. He's like, okay. Like, because she's like purposely covering the other one, and then yeah, they have sex, and then all of a sudden you see this old man flash, and then he dies, and you're like, okay, which brings together these. It seems like it was like three childhood best friends, like Reggie, Jody, and then this guy Tommy, and then Tommy dies, and it brings them all back together for his funeral, and that's what kind of kicks the movie off. But here's the thing: why is this happening now? You know, like this is their whole childhood, this town, you know, so like why all of a sudden now is this like funeral parlor just like, hey, I'm gonna start killing people in the town?
if I had to guess, it's like not a small town, but a town that's kind of dwindling out, and all the dead people are a lot of older people, and a lot of the young people are like moving out. So the tall man has to be like, I got to get the young folk that are still living in their hometown.
This is like the last ditch effort to like, okay, like we're
All
about
the
to
old
leave.
people are dead. There's no one else dying off. Like, got to go after young people now.
Huh. Okay. Yeah.
If I had to guess, if I had to say something, but
that's interesting. No, yeah, because they are aliens. Like that is what it is. Like he's an actual alien who's there turning whoever dies, I guess, into these like small
demon
slave
dwarf
people.
things.
Yeah, and then teleporting them back to the planet that he's from. So yeah, there's a lot there. This kind of reminds me of like Evil Dead a little bit in the way that it was like super low budget, and then it just kind of like it was apparently filmed over a year, but like on weekends with like friends and stuff like that. Like this was very like low budget.
Yeah, only 300,000, which is about $1 million today. It did very well. Like it made like 100 times back its money. It made $22 million, which is more like 75 times its money, but
dude,
really impressive.
It's crazy because yeah, like apparently the director was like 24 when he made it, and his dad like put up the money for this. He's like, all right, try it out. And yeah, for this movie to make that much money, and then the sequel doesn't come out for 9 years, you're like, what the fuck happened?
There must have been nothing out in theaters in 1979 at this time, or something. Like it must have been like a February, when it's like really low, shitty movies out in theaters.
Well, it came out in March, yeah.
See? Huh?
Was this your first time seeing this?
Yes, yeah, it was.
Okay.
A coworker recommended it to me back in October, and I was like, yeah, he was like, oh yeah, you should definitely do Phantasm. It's like one of those horror movies that's like super cult classic. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I'd seen it a few times before this, but like I don't know if I've ever met anybody that's seen it really.
I thought initially I knew nothing aside from the poster. I saw the poster before seeing the movie. And like there was an old like man, the tall man, but didn't know he was called the tall man. I just knew the poster and that it was a cult classic. I also like my mind went to it's a phantasm like with orgasms, so like sex was going to be involved, and it kind of kicked off that way. Like the movie starts with like a woman having sex and then killing someone, so it's like like at the orgasm the phantom comes out. I don't know. My mind is not that healthy.
That's not that crazy of an idea. Like it's sex that kills you kind of thing, like a ghost orgasm. Yeah, like that's not.
Am I far off? Like what is Phantasm then?
No, that's not what the movie is. But like for somebody to see like the trailer and then immediately see the movie and then that's what happens at the beginning, you'd be like, huh, I wonder if it does have to do with orgasms. Like that's not crazy. Like I don't think that's insane.
What is a phantasm, Alec?
I think what a phantasm is so apparently the title was taken from, Edgar Allan Poe. Apparently, he used it a lot to describe, like, supernatural things or ghosts or stuff like that, and the director was a big fan of that, so he just made it like, "Oh, there's, like, spooky things happening, so this is phantasm."
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
that's apparently what this is. So, actually, the first time I saw this movie, it's kind of an interesting story. No, it's not that interesting, actually, but so I saw this when I was probably, like, 8, and it was me, my mom, and Bailey, and Zach Simpson. So, my
Oh wow.
mom was showing us to us as kids, and Zach's mom came home, and my mom and she just started watching a little bit of it. I don't remember what scene it was, but it was something pretty graphic, and she's like, "Hey, Dina, can I talk to you outside for a second?" And, like, pause the movie. We're like, "Okay, like, what's going on?" And she's like, I don't want my son watching this kinda thing." Like, because remember Zach, like, we talked about it on the
Oh, he couldn't
podcast
he
too.
couldn't watch Harry Potter.
He couldn't watch Harry Potter, he couldn't watch Goosebumps, he couldn't watch, like, literally anything. So my mom's showing us this at, like, 8 or 9, and, like, this is a pretty graphic movie, I think, for a
Was it
kid.
on TV? Was it like PG'd
Nope.
out?
We rented it. I remember
Okay.
I
Okay.
I really remember this because it really freaked me out as a kid. I
Yeah.
was it's pretty scary, and the kid Michael, I was like, "Oh, he's kinda like my age," sort of thing. So, like, this is, like, kinda scary because he's a kid,
I
but
think we were at that age of getting really curious about like what's the scariest movie? Like what's like, I remember I think I saw The Exorcist around 9 or 10
yeah.
or even before. Maybe it was 8. I don't remember, but damn dude, I used to watch I would want it. Like being a young kid, you want to see the most like scary thing, the grossest thing and
Yeah,
stuff like so yeah.
and then you end up
That's
sleeping in your parents' bed for, like, literally a month.
2
You're
months, 3 months on end, depending.
And you're
Depending.
like no, seriously, I was the same way, like, I was, like, always just like, "Oh, I wanna see this," so I 100% remember my mom liking this movie as a kid. She rented the VHS, showed it to me, Bailey, and Zach, and his Zach's mom walked in and was like, "Alright, shut it off." But, yeah,
Uh,
this movie really scared the shit out of me as a kid, and watching I feel like I've seen it one other time since then, and a lot of it started coming back to me as I was watching it. A lot of
yeah.
it. The theme really was like,
Dun,
"Oh,
dun, dun,
yeah."
dun, 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 dun,
It's like
dun,
The
dun,
Fog.
dun. Very John Carpenter-esque,
Yep.
yeah, for sure.
It's a lot like The Fog. A couple of weird little trivia things too. Apparently, they were filming this because it took a long time for them to make this movie, and the Jawas were in the Star Wars trailer, and they had already filmed a lot of the dwarves stuff, and they were like, "Fuck, that looks just like those Jawas from Star Wars," and they were gonna go back and replace the robes, make them different colors, but they're like, "We filmed too much, we can't do it."
No
So
shit, so they they kinda were like, "Oh, man," it's like Deep Impact, Armageddon, like 2 things coming out at the same time that weren't supposed to.
well, because this was
Tombstone,
so
White Earp, you know?
Yeah, well, they started filming this, I think in like '76, and it took them forever to finish it. And then all of a sudden, as they're filming it, they're like Star Wars. They're like, "Oh fuck, this looks so much like it." But yeah, so that was something I thought was kind of a little interesting. But yeah, it's pretty scary, honestly. Like a lot of
Yeah.
it's just so weird. I think it's surreal, so it makes it scary.
Yeah, there was parts that were scary, but I really liked how the tall man would walk and you'd hear his, like, footsteps, like, the
Yeah,
hard, heavy, like, metallic steps.
his steps and also the way his arms like waved, like it was like so unnatural. It was almost like a person trying to pretend to be a person, kind of.
Yeah. His name's Angus Scrimm, the actor. Passed away in 2016, but that same year, he was in the last Phantasm movie.
Dude, he's in every Phantasm movie.
That's so he must have been like 90 years old in Phantasm Ravager in 2016.
Yep. So
So he passed away before it was released, but he was in it.
he was 90 exactly. He was 90 when that movie came out, which it just like think about that. Like
You live, breathe, and eat the tall man.
I mean, so the first one came out in '77, the second one came out in '88, and then every like 5 or 6 years after that they came out, and then the fifth one. But every single actor, or like the tall man, Reggie, the ice cream guy, and the brother Jody, they all come back for all of them. And the same guy wrote and directed all of them too, which is just freaking crazy.
I
But
think except for the last one. I think he produced the 2016 one.
you're right, you're right. There was a little bit of, controversy apparently though on the second one. So, they brought back everybody for the second one except for the kid who played Mike.
The best
Apparently
character.
yeah, I thought he was the best actor in the movie, but apparently, yeah, Universal was like, "We don't want him," and they're like, "Okay, like, we kinda need him," and they cast, some other guy, but apparently Brad Pitt was up for the role. He was supposed to play it, and then he didn't get it, but some other actor got it, and then the audience was like, "What the fuck is this? It's bullshit." So then in the third, fourth, and fifth one, they brought that guy back. They're like, all right, I was out.
Really? So he was out of the second one, and they're like, you know what? Let's bring back the OG, and went from there
Because people got pissed. Like apparently the
like that.
audience where they were just like, "You brought back the tall man, you brought back the brother, you brought back Reggie, and that you don't want to bring him back, and he's the perfect age, and like all this stuff." And yeah, people were pissed off. So
It's like the opposite of Back to the Future 2 with Crispin Glover. It's like
yeah,
the opposite scenario.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. People were like really pissed off. Like, all right, we're sorry. Jesus Christ. What do you think of the ending though?
Oh, I hate like it was all a dream. But then they'd like, hey, it was all a dream. But also, your brother's dead. It's like, what?
Yeah,
Like,
dude.
there was no like car crash before. Like, what? I tried to like overthink it. I thought about it too much. Like, what the hell's going on?
I think it's simply budgetary problems that like fucked up the story making sense because it makes no sense what happens.
Well, that final shot of him at like the graveyard and the tombstone, which is like an in-ground tombstone, like that looks like it was just hacked together. And that shot is just shaky. It's just like, oh, he's looking up. And I was like,
I
they
mean,
must have shot that with like 5 minutes left and the day late or something. I don't know.
dude, it all right. So like it makes no sense. So Reggie is driving the ice cream truck. He crashes. Mike goes out to see. He's like, oh, he's dead. And then he gets hit in the head. And then the story continues. And then randomly, when they get to the mansion, Reggie's just there. And he's just like, hey guys, I freed these girls. It's like, Reggie, you're alive. Like, holy shit. Then he gets stabbed. And you're like, he's dead. We got to get home. And then after that, it was just a dream. And the brother's actually
No,
dead.
after that, dude, it was like, we got to take him to the mine shaft. It's like,
Yeah.
the mine shaft?
Yeah.
What? Of course, that's where we can kill him. This mine shaft that drops down for 200, 300 feet.
It's
We
a
should
thousand.
definitely throw him in there.
Yeah. And yeah.
Do you
And
have
the
a place
best.
if you're getting chased by somebody? Do you have like the water tower? Like that's where we need to go. Do you have a place in mind?
Avon Mountain, maybe?
Yeah, like let's push him off Avon Mountain.
Yeah,
Like
we'll run and we'll, yeah, we'll jump out and he'll just jump off the edge.
I just like the mine shaft idea. Ugh.
It's so stupid, but the other part that's so dumb about it is the brother Jody's like, I'm gonna go off and take the barrier off the mine shaft. Like, you stay here. And he's like, okay. And he stays there. And then all of a sudden the old man comes out. So he's like, oh shit, I guess I'll run to the mine shaft now. Hopefully it's all working out. So the plan just like works out miraculously. But also, so the tall man, he just can't die. He like the same thing happened twice. Jody's like, I'm gonna go do this, and then the kid escapes, and the old man dies trying to capture the kid at the house. Like the same thing happened twice.
Yeah. I think this is just a great excuse to like get really messed up on drugs and watch a movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This
Yeah.
is a perfect movie to watch really high
Like this came
because
out late 70s, so like the 80s were like, hey man, Phantasm 3's coming out. You want to get like really ripped and go see it? It's like, okay. That's probably like half the people that go see those movies.
yeah, it's just very dream sequency. The music's like weird. It's kind of got this like 70s cop TV show vibe to it sometimes. Like,
Like
um,
Spicoli from Fast Times would definitely go see this movie.
oh yeah. And dude, the Jody character is such a poor man's Harrison Ford.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh my god, the hairstyle, like everything about it, you're just like, oh man. But yeah, none of these actors really went on to do much aside from these.
Nah, no. There's some good parts in it. I really like the idea that he could lift a casket easily.
Oh
The
yeah.
Undertaker, I was like, "Oh, that's pretty." And if you look at that casket, it's like cardboard.
Well,
Like you can kind of see it like moving. Like,
dude, that's how young I was that the first time I saw it, that didn't even phase me because I didn't know how heavy a coffin would be. So I was so young, I was like, why is it a big deal? Like, is
yeah,
it a really big
I,
deal?
I've been a pallbearer like 5 times, and caskets are so heavy. So that like idea of him just one-handed lifting that thing up is like, dude, crazy.
Yeah, no, yeah, it really is. Yeah, he's apparently not that tall in real life. He was shorter than Jody, so he had to stand on apple boxes a lot to like make him appear a lot taller most of the
Ruin the movie. So he's not. He's like the average height man.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's actually pretty much exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't really that old, but yeah, he has a very just disturbing face to him. And it's very that shot always scares me when Mike's sleeping, he's having the dream, and he just appears behind him, and then the arms rip out and start like, scratching him or whatever, when he's in the bed.
Yeah.
Dude, that always scares me. And that line that like, boy, like
Boy.
that's pretty
Yeah.
notorious. That's like a horror line that people are like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. Exactly what I was saying. Like, there's some really good horror parts in it. Like the insect scene is like really kind of cool. Where like
Wait, which part?
when he like is about to stick the insect down the drain and
Yeah,
like his finger turns into the insect. I thought that was cool. It was
dude.
ridiculous,
Dude,
but
that's okay, that for me, I was like, "Okay, this is where the movie ran out of its budget." When they had to, like, pretend it was in the shirt for, like, 30 seconds, you're like, "Okay."
yeah,
Like
they definitely blew the budget on like the sphere ball thing that flew and like drilled through that guy's head and they cut the fingers off. It's like, all right, we're out of yellow goo.
Yep.
We're out of everything else. Like, I know we wanted like other hands, but we only have a finger this time, and the finger is gonna turn and do this insect that's like silly string and pipe cleaners.
Yeah, that's I honestly, the ball looked really good. I thought
Yeah,
that especially that shot where it was, like, flying right at him, I was like, "How'd they even do this?"
that's where they blew their budget. I think like that whole mausoleum stuff.
Yeah, that was good. Oh, little tidbit of trivia for you.
Ooh,
Apparently, J.J. Abrams is a very big fan of this movie, and, Captain Phasma is actually apparently named after this movie
the
because
gold stormtrooper. There
the
you go.
sphere is the same kinda color, and he's like, "Oh, I love it looks like the ball from Phantasm, let's call her Captain Phasma."
Oh my god,
I don't know if that's actually true,
that's
but
wild.
I did read that, and I'd like to believe that's actually real.
I think this movie made more sense than Captain Phasma's death scene, but we're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there.
Yeah. One day.
No, but the other good part I liked was like the car. Remember he gets trapped into the car. He would be dead if the car was like holding you were holding up a car. But
Mm, mm.
I like that is to me is like one of the scariest things to me is like getting stuck under a vehicle like that. Like we were changing something.
Yeah, no, that dude alright, first of all, that car is awesome. That
Yeah,
car they must have spent it's kinda like our
it's a
movie
Cuda.
too, like Mission Im Impossible, like, we got these cool ass cars, we're
You
like,
got a
"Hey,
1970 Chevelle.
1971 Chevelle, an
Oh, I thought it
SS."
was a 70.
I'm pretty sure it's 71, I gotta double check with Billy. We got that,
Okay.
and then we got the Porsche for that too. So we, like same thing with this guy, he, like, asked a friend, he's like, "Hey, man, like, you got a cool car, like, we use it in our movie?" Like, sort of thing. I thought it was pretty cool. But that car was sick, I loved
Yeah.
it.
Did you happen to watch this with the subtitles on?
I watch everything with subtitles on.
Did you see like when the like demons were talking in the background? It'd be like warbling.
Yeah.
Like what the hell is warbling? Warble 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 warble.
Yeah, that's what I would imagine, but the noises were pretty scary, dude. I thought
Yeah.
they did a good job. That scene, though, where Reggie's driving and you hear, like, warble noises, he's not acting.
Warble.
He's not acting like he's hearing anything. He's just kinda like, "Oh, what's that noise? Oh, it sounds like a dog outside." It's like, "Dude, that thing is on your car, it's warbling, it's gonna fuck you up."
Yeah, warbling. That's when you know it's about to go down when you hear that in the subtitles.
Yeah. Just the other thing too, like, so what the fuck is this movie? Like, so Jody was what is he like a musician? He's off on the road. It's like, hey, I heard you back in town. It's like, yeah, my parents just died, so I'm here to take care of the kid, I guess. Like, what is
But
happening?
their parents have been in the mausoleum and died too. So
Right.
like has that kid just been living in that house by himself for like a couple of years?
I don't know if they like recently
Or is
died
it
and
Reggie? Reggie?
so Reggie's the ice cream man, and Jody is Mike's brother, the young kid, and so Jody and Mike are brothers, and Reggie's the friend. So yeah, so Mike and Jody's parents died in a car crash, and they're in that mausoleum. So I guess Mike's just kind of like hanging out, and he's sad. He's chasing his brother everywhere,
Yeah.
and then he's like, I gotta take off though. The kid's 16. Like, come on, like he's
I'm
fine.
probably gonna ship him away. I'm like,
Yeah,
jeez. Like, he, like, overhears it, he's like, "Maybe you should say that, like, more out of earshot than where you
yeah.
said it." Like,
Well, and dude, you know what's fucked up is in the second one, he is in a mental asylum and he escapes.
no way.
Yeah, that's where it starts off because it's, like, 10 years later, and, like, Mike's, like, in a mental asylum, he's like, "The tall man," like,
Oh.
because where does the movie go from here? It's like Reggie's just like, "Hey, man, like, I'm not dead, and let's just, like, explain the movie away." Because what does he say? He's like, "Let's just go off together in the sunset, dude."
I wish he was like, "You know what? I got some fudgicles in the back that make you brighten up your day." I wish he said something, like, about ice cream.
Well, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, that would've made sense with ice
This
cream.
this movie does have everything. It's got sex, it's got shag carpet, it's got ice cream, demons, jean jackets, cool cars, like,
Okay,
it's got
dude,
everything.
speaking of everything, what the hell is that scene where that, like, older black lady comes out the door, she's like, "Hi there," and he's just like, "Oh, Jesus, you scared me, Marnie." And then
Yeah, what
and she's in his house, like, what was that?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the hell that was about.
They
Dude,
never
this movie doesn't make any sense, come to think of it.
I feel like that
Like,
was, like, an inside joke, they're like, "Oh, man, we should get, like, Sarah to come in and just, like, scare him for no reason." It's like, why?" It's like, I think it'd be funny, it's like, no one's gonna get this, dude. It's just like, yeah, maybe funny.
another thing, they go to that, gypsy sort of woman
Mhm.
with the crystal ball, and we never see her again.
I know.
What the so, like, the point of that whole scene was like, oh, and you don't even see, like, the young girl again, or is that young girl one of the girls
Uh,
in the cars?
yeah, she's one of the because
Okay,
you can see that
there you
stupid
go.
star thing on her face. You're like, "Okay, what okay." But,
Okay,
dude
so the old gypsy lady taught him not to be afraid, and that's why he was able to go through the portal.
sure.
That's the only, yeah, point of that
Yeah,
scene.
that's ridiculous, but apparently a couple things about that. What seems weird is at the end when he walks out, doesn't it seem like they kinda laugh like we tricked him sort of thing? Is it was it just me or it looks like they look at each other and they kinda give this, like, kinda, like, smirk, like, "Ha ha, like, idiot." Maybe I'm
It
crazy.
felt like, yeah, like, "Oh, what an idiot, he just paid us for that."
Yeah, but the thing is okay, maybe that's it. They're like, "We just gave him advice," but the box disappears when he puts the money down, so you're like, "This is real magic." Like, clearly, these
Well,
people
I was expecting either the young girl to become more of a bigger role or even the gypsy woman, like, "I'll tell you about the legend of the tall man," and she, like, explains who the tall man is. We get none of that. We
Okay,
just gotta figure it out.
I have a
We
couple
don't even know
things.
he's called when is he called the tall man?
They say it like, "We gotta, like, stomp that tall man's ass out." They, like, say stuff like that.
Oh, alright.
But, dude, couple things. So, apparently, the old woman, she was a different actress that because this was all just, like, people's friends and, like, "Hey, we're filming on the weekend. Can you come do this?" And that woman dropped out last minute. She's like, "It's my nephew's birthday. I'm not coming to do this." And they're just like, fuck." So they just got some random old lady to play that old woman because they literally were just like, "We" like, last second, they're like, "Just find an old woman who will do this." And
Well,
they
that explains a lot because they probably had, like, an actor who, like,
yeah.
knew what they were gonna do and
Yep.
stuff, and this is a lady that had no lines.
Yep. Exactly.
So, that's why they probably had to cut, like, her scene of, like, doing more shit in the movie.
And
That makes
then
sense.
so
Okay.
there's that, and then this is gonna blow your mind. Apparently, the final cut of this movie was 3 hours long.
Jesus.
And then the director was like, "Alright, we obviously, like, we gotta cut down a lot of it." But then they used a lot of the unused footage in the 4th part of this, like, the Oblivion's what's called, like, Phantasm Oblivion Part 4. And a lot of that footage was in this, it's like a time travel one, but there's still so much of it that wasn't used. Can you imagine how much longer like, I felt like by 90 minutes, I was like, "What is like, when is this over? What is happening still?"
Yeah.
But there's so much that they didn't use, so I'm like, that's probably why it feels like there's so much filler that just doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say one of my like, one other part that doesn't make sense to me, and this is just like, imagine, like, one of us died, right? And, like, "Oh, gotta go to Alec's funeral," God forbid. But then that night, I go to that same cemetery, and I have sex with a girl in the cemetery I just buried one of my best friends in.
Yeah, we'd be like,
That's what he does. He literally, like, is, like, with a girl, and he's like, "Let's go to the cemetery I just buried my friend in." It's like,
"Oh."
that's a little come on.
Yeah, and then he laughs about it at the bar, he's like, "We were in the cemetery."
But then it gets even crazier. Yeah, it's like the one where you just buried your friend. It's like,
Yeah,
"You're a sick freak, dude."
yeah.
Then it gets better. Imagine you're in a graveyard, weird enough, that you just buried your best friend in, even weirder, and all of a sudden, your brother just comes screaming out of the woods, out of nowhere, at the top of his lungs, "Ah!" After watch that scene, like, just by itself.
It's a comedy.
And then he goes, "Huh, that's my brother. He has a problem." That's what he
Yeah,
says.
yeah, I know.
It's like, why is your brother in the woods in this graveyard right now? It's insane.
Yeah, the dialogue is awful, like, even for the '70s, you're just like, "Oh my god."
I think we're missing the point. I think you just need to take like DMT or like some crazy drug to watch this movie and like know what's going on. And maybe it makes a lot more sense. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely think you need to be high to watch this movie because otherwise you're just gonna be like, "This isn't really cohesive," and, it's just really all over the place, but I wonder if that's because it was cut down from 3 hours to 90 minutes, so there's things like, imagine Watchmen, that long, long, long movie was only 90 minutes. You'd be like, "I feel like we're missing stuff, like, things just
Right.
don't make
Yeah.
sense." But if the movie wasn't 3 hours long, which I don't wanna watch a 3-hour long version of this, but there's key things that are missing that make things make sense, especially the ending, because that feels so forced in. The last thing we see is Jody standing on top, he pushed the rocks down, the old man's under the thing, and they're like, "Yeah, brother," and then all of a sudden he wakes up and it was a dream, you're like, "Oh, okay," and then Reggie just has to explain, "Hey, by the way, this is actually what happened." You're like, "What the fuck is going on now?"
Yeah.
Maybe that would make more sense if the movie was longer.
Who knows? I mean, maybe it just sounds like maybe they just ran into a lot of production issues, and that's why the movie's just crazy.
For sure. That's why I think it's kinda like Evil Dead, where it's like, it was a couple of friends, and it was literally like all of these actors were just people this guy knew. He rented equipment on Fridays, and when he could charge 1 day and then would return it on Mondays,
Oh
to
man.
utilize weekends.
What's the director's name?
Don, Coscarelli?
I can picture this guy just smoking 3 packs a day just to deal with the stress of making this movie.
Dude, he was 24.
Yeah, dude, it's insane.
He was 24, just an amateur filmmaker, but that's the thing, that's what it doesn't make sense to me. This should be like a John Carpenter or a Wes Craven or like, one of those kind of stories. This guy made a movie for $300,000 with a bunch of his friends or whatever. It made 22,000,000, and then you don't really hear about any of these people.
Yeah.
For years, like, what the hell went wrong? It became a cult classic, but if you talk to, like, the average horror fan or, like, most people, you'd be like, "Hey, Phantasm?" And if they're basically under 40, they're probably gonna be like, "No."
Yeah, when my coworker is over 40, and he was basically like, "Oh, you haven't I haven't heard of it either." I was like, "What is that movie? I've never heard of it." And I looked
Wow.
up the poster, I was like, "Oh, I've seen hints of this before,"
Yeah.
but I honestly had no idea what the hell it was.
It's just I don't know what it is, man. It was like back in the day, it really felt like they made movies just to make them without the idea of like, "Hey, let's make a sequel." Where now it's like you have to make a movie and have it definitely have sequel potential. Because if you're just looking at the financial return on this, it makes no sense for them to not be like, "Yo, immediately get all these actors, get this director, let's get a second part out within the next like year or two. Here's a budget, make it happen."
Yeah.
This is a movie that does slip under the radar, though. It is something that, unless you're, like, a big horror fan. I mean, I don't know, the only reason I know about it is because my mom showed it to me, it's not something I feel like I would have seen naturally.
That too. It was like this movie in general is crazy. And my coworker, such a like a level-headed guy, he was like, "You need to add this to the wheel." He recommended we have it on. Like out of all the movies, he's like, "Oh, you guys should definitely do Phantasm." I'm like, "Okay, yeah."
Yeah, when you
So
put it on there, I was like, "Huh." I was like, "Fuck, I haven't thought about that movie in a long time." I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." This is yeah, because it's a series too, which I'm kinda like, I kinda wanna see where it goes. I kinda wanna watch the other ones.
I kind of read up about the second one. I don't want to talk about the second one here in case anyone, we're only spoiling Phantasm. We're not spoiling Phantasm 2, but
That's true, that's true.
um,
We have integrity here.
yeah, apparently it's like the same movie though.
I
Like the same, like everything happens in the same like way.
That makes sense. Also another little weird thing. You've seen that movie with Mike Myers, So I Married an Axe Murderer?
Long time ago, yes, though.
This is the same mansion. This house this house takes place in or whatever, that's the same
That's so
mansion from that
random.
movie.
It's too random. Can't even take it.
I know, I looked up a lot of trivia about this because I was like, this is one of those kind of movies where I bet there's so many, like, behind the scenes commentary tracks, all this crazy shit, and there really is. There's so much out there about these movies.
Yeah. I should be the tall man for Halloween or the average height man for Halloween.
Is it
No one would know.
alright?
And he's like, "Are you like a old guy?" Yeah, kinda.
And the guy from Phantasm, like, what the fuck
And
is
you
that?
see, recognize the spear thing? It's like, no, oh, good.
It's like the movie from 51 years ago, you know that movie, right?
No one would know. Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not that old. No, no, 41. Jeez, I'm so bad at math. It's embarrassing. Jesus.
It's all a dream, dude. It's all a
Oh,
dream.
so who's the guy when Mike is hiding in the mausoleum for like the first time, and it's like the tall man and some old guy or some like older guy, and they walk in there and they're looking for him, and he's hiding in the coffin. He looks out, and then all of a sudden the ball kills him. Who the fuck was that guy?
I wish I had an answer. I have no idea. Like, I thought the tall man like worked alone. Apparently not.
No, he like bites his arm or whatever, and he's just like ah, and then the
I
ball.
would imagine he just works at the funeral parlor and doesn't know all this other shit going on with the tall man.
Oh, he's gotta know. He's gotta know. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know. That was so weird. I was like, "Who is this guy?" But okay.
but workplace violence, dude. That thing killed him. It's like I thought he was on his side. It's like that, can
Yeah.
we tell these spheres not to kill our people
Yeah.
and
Oh, the,
violently?
another thing, apparently this got an, X rating, and, the reason it did was because of the urine. When that guy died, they're like, "You're mixing urine and blood and all this stuff, like, that's too grotesque." And some big time movie critic or whatever at the time wrote the MPAA and was like, "Hey, like, this does not deserve to give it an X rating." It's
Yeah,
just like
X
this.
rating back then, nah.
No, he's like, "This is really come on, like, this is way too
Yeah,
tame for
too
the
tame.
X."
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're like, "Alright," so they made it R.
Last
But
thing I loved, like, I didn't notice this towards the beginning of the movie, but they kept using, like, "That mother," and they, like, instead of saying "mother effer," they'd be like, "That
yeah,
mother, we're gonna go get that mother."
yeah, I
They
know.
would say that. Did you catch that a lot?
Oh, yeah. No, totally. Yeah, they said so many things that you're like, "This seems so unnatural in a conversation." Another thing, I think, right when they said, like, "You let me go, you mother," as they're running up the stairs, they broke throughout the movie, I saw 3 spokes off of that, like, wall. Like, throughout the movie, if you notice, I was like, because I was like, "Damn, they broke the stairs there." It's like, "They broke it again," and the 3rd time you see there's 3 spokes, and the 3rd one they break off, and there's 2 before that are missing, and I was like, "Gee, they definitely, like, broke this house while they were making this movie."
Oh yeah,
And then the shotgun with the hammer,
yeah.
that would never work. And how would a 13-year-old just know how to do that?
That's a quick way to just blow off your hand.
Oh,
The
100%.
quickest way ever.
Oh my god, it would never work, and even if it did manage to work, yeah, by hand or it'll shoot off into your side.
You get shrapnel all over your face.
Well, apparently, and I don't know which scene it was, but because they use a shotgun a lot in this movie, they were such amateur filmmakers, they had no, safety people on set. They were usually using power from people's houses, like running extension cables and stuff. And they used blanks in the shotgun, and they didn't realize that like those can hurt you. And they lit one of the guy's arms on fire when they shot, and like a speck went off and caught the guy's jacket on fire. And I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, that's no bueno.
Dude,
That's
the scene, yeah, when he's got the shotgun and he's shooting the car, I'm like, they're going so fast. And he's just up there like, come on, Johnny, like, let's go. Like, he's just shooting the shotgun.
yeah, it's like you gotta think like how they made this film. Like even the garbage disposal scene with the thing and they shoved the shirt down there. It's like they definitely broke that house's garbage disposal for the
Yeah.
scene. Like
Oh, they broke that. And then when he locks him in there with a screwdriver, which is just so stupid, just fucking whatever. But he kicks the door, and you don't even see him kick the door in the scene. But then after he like walks away, and there's a huge hole in the door, and you're just like, I bet that wasn't planned.
yeah.
There's just a lot of stuff the guy's like, man, you guys really fucked my house up. It's like, come on, man, it's for the
We'll
movie.
fix it in post.
Yeah, we'll fix your house in post. I actually do wanna watch the second one. It's gonna sound weird, but I'm kinda comparing this to Hellraiser, and I think I like this more than Hellraiser.
That was gonna be the movie I compare it to the most, is because like the box in Hellraiser with the sphere, a lot of similarities. There's one main bad guy, but with a bunch of like demon people around him.
Yeah, I mean, Hellraiser's production is so much better, the music's better, the dialogue's better, but I think just, like, I don't know, I've got this weird soft spot for just, like, movies of this era, like, late '70s, early '80s, of just, like, poor production quality. I love Evil Dead, I love this, I love Friday the 13th, and they all kinda have this, like, cheesy, cheap vibe to them. I
You
like it.
just like to be like, oh man, that's so shitty how they did that. Like,
I like that, though. I can respect that, though, I don't know, I
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Well,
People pour. You can just tell how hard people work by just how shitty the budget is, and like you just gotta respect it.
I could really appreciate this movie. I don't know.
Yeah.
I liked a lot of it. I noticed a lot of things. So, any final thoughts on Phantasm, Eric?
Just the mine shaft, just want to know where that is and where we could go if we're ever in a pickle, where's our mine shaft, Alec?
That's a good question. We need to all have a mine shaft in our mind.
Like where's
Huh.
your escape?
Yeah. No, I need to think of one. I don't have one. It's good. It's a good question.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, we don't have a wheel to spin because this is the final movie.
Yes. Conjuring 2.
So we'll be back next Monday to discuss the final movie of this wheel, and then after that, who knows?
It's been a good winter so far, so let's finish it strong with Conjuring 2.